All right, guys, welcome to the next portion of this program. Right now, we are looking at top-down lighting. So what I did is I took the fill light, moved it over here in front of David, and then I flew it up a little bit higher and put it at a top-down angle. Now, as you can tell, I've got it slightly angled down, and that's just kind of help with, as you can see within the image, we've got a little bit of raccoon eyes going on right now, and that's what you're commonly gonna find when you're doing top-down lighting. So it's important to have some source as a fill, just to kind of help battle that a little bit. So just to kind of show you some options, I could power this on, striking. All right, and this is gonna be way too strong, but I could just put it on ever so slightly, just so we get a little more light on David and we don't have such harsh and bad raccoon eyes. We can see a little more in David's face. Another option, Christian, if you can follow me here, is we can come and grab my bounce board, which I forgot to mention yesterday. It doesn't fit my car, so it has this really nice flop and bend to it. So I had to mention that for Natasha. I was telling her how I have a shitty bounce board, and then I didn't actually talk about it in camera. Like I said, I told her I was going to. So now I'm embarrassing myself, so Natasha, you'll get to see that. So as you can see with the bounce board too, this is another option, right? So as we're bringing this up and down, we're getting just ever so slightly more light hitting our subject. And this can really help with getting catch light. So say for instance, I didn't want to use this particularly on David, but I wanted a soft bounce. I could shoot this over this way, light that up, and I can use the bounce board just to get a little more to hit on. But for me, I want a dramatic look. I want it kind of as nasty as I can get it with it still being approved as good. And so for me, if I'm doing a top-down look again, the point is to create suspense. It's to create drama. So I want the shadows. That's where the intensity lies. And when I'm doing a top-down look like this, I'm typically doing a setup like this if I'm trying to do any kind of short film or particularly a documentary project or maybe a music video, but it typically has a music video with a storyline of some sort that, again, maybe it's an action sequence or there's some kind of betrayal, there's suspense created. This is something that fits really well with suspenseful and dramatic scenes. And again, guys, the key points with the top-down lighting source obviously are we want to have a really nice, solid source. The bigger the source, the better. And so I'm being fast and efficient for you guys here, throwing the tube light on. But really, predominantly, I would prefer having something like this softbox. Or what you guys will be seeing here with some of the B-roll we've used before is falconized light mats or using an 8x8 frame. But obviously setting that up in a studio like this isn't exactly easy or ideal. And so I'm just doing this really quick with the tube light. However, the bigger the source, the softer the light. And so having this right here just out of frame, we want it as close to subject as possible and a nice soft source. Additionally, the big key things to remember when doing top-down lighting is you probably want some kind of fill. It depends what look you're really going for. If you want those raccoon eyes, you know, if you're trying to go for something like, the best way I describe it is The Dark Knight, the sequence with the Joker in the interrogation room, right? Like you cannot even see his eyes or his face. It's so dark and demeaning, but there's intention with that, right? Like I think Nolan knows exactly what he's doing and why he's doing that, him and his DP. So be intentional with your light, but again, make sure you have some kind of fill there. Most likely you're gonna need that. And again, just going back to a B-cam look, we wanna make sure that we have something in the background there to further separate David. So Christian, you can kind of stay back. You don't need to follow me here. But again, I'm just gonna turn this off really quick for you guys, and you can see how much of a difference it really makes in our B-cam look. So how much less interesting is that, right? And it's crazy that it's such a small little detail. But for me, it's so much less of an interesting image. It's so much less dynamic and less quote unquote cinematic. And that's really because, again, we don't have light, we don't have another source in the back there that helps create that depth, that showcases that for our viewers. And that's really it when it comes to top-down lighting, guys. One of my favorite setups, again, for dramatic and suspenseful looks. Highly recommend it for narrative work. If you have any questions or concerns, be sure to let me know. With that all being said, let's jump to the next lighting look.